So the structure changed, which means that the content has changed too. However, it's all good. And what I want to do is start asking you questions about execution, where you're at in your business, and what would be most relevant to you as far as making things happen to get you to the next phase, whatever that is. So I have my Oprah mic, and I can take questions. Tell me where you are in your business, what your challenge is right now as far as execution or making something happen, and then we'll start from there. And then I have some things that I'll cover as we go along. So we have Jess.
Like yes.
Like yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I can't hear myself. Okay, just
We
checking.
got you.
I'm Bloggers of Health. Well, not me. I am the owner.
You are the owner.
Of Bloggers
Yes.
of Health, and it encompasses a whole bunch of people. My biggest thing right now is I just implemented social media in every capacity, meaning everything that you can do with social media. So right now, the sales, because it just launched yesterday, so I'm like trying to strategize even more on how to sell this sucker.
Okay, so let me see if I understand what you're saying. You just launched a social media campaign in different outlets.
Yes. Well, we just launched. What did we just launch?
She just launched a digital magazine.
So she just launched a digital magazine.
But the component of social media, selling social media.
Using social media as a main outreach tool. So
Using social media as a main outreach tool.
And then also encompassing everything else that does with branding. Like the TV. I know, it's new. The TV that comes along with it, like composing a video for your company. And we're targeting small businesses to do this and sell them social media pretty much.
Okay, so you sell, all right, parentheses, this is how it's gonna work. As people ask me questions, then I'll go back to content and do a little teaching, and then we can answer the question based on that, okay? The first thing that you have to do when you're in your startup phase, right, is to really, really answer the question, what do I sell?
Right.
And it took you like 4 minutes to explain to me what you sell. And that's great, right, but
So big.
right. And so you told me you just launched this campaign. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the key performance indicator must be some sort of return on investment. That's where we're going.
Yes.
But I heard something different.
What'd you hear?
That you are now launching this business and you want customers, potential customers, to know what you're doing. Like I got lost.
We already launched it, like per se.
Yeah.
It literally launched yesterday night.
Yes.
So it's new, and we pretty much, well, my thing is I need salespeople to sell the product.
You need salespeople to sell
The product.
the product, which is the magazine.
Part of it is a magazine.
Okay, well, your product is a suite of services.
Correct. It's a menu.
It's a menu of services, social media services.
Yes.
A magazine, is that print?
That's digital.
So it's all digital.
Yes.
It's all virtual. Okay, so what do you sell?
Social media.
No,
Advertising.
you sell advertising. Okay, so see where I'm going? When I ask you what do you sell, you need to be very specific so that we can then help you focus on a solution for that or scaling and growing that. And these people are amazing. I said I want something to write on, and bam, something to write with.
I think in the middle.
In the middle, even like 2 colors. Check this out. You guys are great. Thank you. Okay, so.
Because I have the people that already get the work done, but
Uh-huh.
I just need the sales people.
You need somehow to engage in the sales process. So we talked about this a little bit in a previous workshop that was all about ideation, and we talked about the different phases of business development, right? And then everybody wants this, whatever that looks like. Okay, so this here at the beginning is your idea phase. Here is your test, what I call, if you guys can't read my writing, I'm so sorry. This is your push cart model. Here, you start to make a sale. This, what everybody wants, is momentum. This is stability. You got it. You know what you're doing. You have some growth. It's nothing earth-shattering. This is like Nike and Burger King, you know, your big brands that already have pretty much saturated their market. And what they do is they either gain loyalty, they increase their prices, they come up with a strategy just to either maintain loyalty or grow market share, okay? And then if you don't innovate over time, you go into what's called decline. That's Madonna, right there, okay? Yeah, she don't have to make $1.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
So what you're telling me is that you are somewhere in here. And what you're trying to do is make $1, right? Make your first $1.
Well, we've already made some money, but we need to really gain the momentum to go up and then sell it more.
So, and we just learned
So
about
we're at
this.
that little cusp in the beginning.
You're here.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is where you're at. So you already have repeat customers that have tested your product. They like what you have. Sounds better like over here. There's something that happens in the transition. Okay, so your question is, how do
Go up.
you go up in momentum?
Just repeat it.
No, I'm trying to,
Some has to do with marketing.
Yeah.
it is marketing. It is marketing, and I guess my question to you is, and this is gonna sound awful, but everybody, you're here learning, okay? Did you think about this before?
Yes.
So what do you think?
I think
That's not your real question.
it's not my real question.
Mm-mm. You have way more information than that.
Also,
You already know your business.
right.
So your question is not, oh, how do I go into momentum? How do I make a sale? It's much more
It's
specific.
my question is, how do I get more salespeople to help me?
Okay. What have you done so far?
Nothing. I've been working with the people that I have now.
Okay.
You have your compensation.
You're nodding.
You have your compensation packages there.
I'm soaking it all in.
Okay. Okay. So very specifically, you just need salespeople. Do you have already a structure for bringing people on board in mind? Is it going to be
Well, I have-
commission based? Am I going to hire people full time? Is it?
That's what I need help with because I have the idea, I have the structure of what I've learned in marketing and what people have been showing me, but me going out there and doing it is different.
Okay. There's many different ways to build a sales force. Okay? And it really has to do with how you want to go to market and how you're going to build relationships, how you're going to build your audience, your tribe. Okay? So one of the ways that you can do that is like literally go put an ad on the paper or an ad in wherever, right? And say job offer and bring them on board either as full-time or part-time employees.
Okay.
That's one way. In order to do that, you need working capital. Okay? So in case people, this slides, doesn't it? Yeah. I know. I'm like, oh crap. I'm way too excited. I know. Let's just. All right, we're gonna put it on the bottom because we're gonna refer to this over and over. So when you are building a sales team, okay, a profit and loss statement. Who knows what a profit and loss statement is? What it looks like? Why you use it? Some people, maybe not. Okay. So P&L statement, profit and loss statement. It's a financial document that shows you if you're profitable. Okay. It allows you to explore the different aspects of your business that impact your bottom line. So you start with your revenue, and this is revenue model. This is how you make money. This is answering the question, what do I sell? In your case, it's advertisement, right? So your sales from advertisements will go under your revenue, and it's X dollars. Somewhere below that is your cost of sale. All right? Which is X. And so then you have your profit margin. Below your profit margin, then you start getting into your actual expenses, the expense section of your profit and loss statement. And under expenses, you get into overhead, let me actually, there's a series of line items that are related to when you get your cash. We're going to call that working capital. Then you have your overhead, expenses, and then, which is your operating margin. And then last but not least, when you add and subtract, add your revenue, subtract all of your expenses, you end up with your net profit or loss, right? Depending. So here's what happens. When you can minimize your overhead, the cost of sale is reduced. That's why people like technology and high tech, right? Because when you do business online, you start reducing this side of your profit and loss statement, and you can really focus on your profit margin. Okay? The more money you have here, the more money you're going to have left over at the end. Okay? What you're telling me is, I don't know where to put the sales force. I don't know how to do this thing. If you do it commissions based, it becomes part of your profit margin. If you add them as full-time employees, like W-2s and 1099s, and you make it much more, well, 1099 can leave it up here. But once you make them W-2s, whether it's part-time or full-time, you're actually adding them on as overhead. Okay? And that's not good or bad. It's just you have to understand how you're going to make money. Knowing where you're adding costs makes a difference at the end of the day for your net profit.
That's where I guess you hit on target, because I have been thinking, where am I going to place them? Am I going to place them on revenue or not? Which one would you do?
How would you place someone under revenue? They're not revenue. Your cost of sale is a cost.
Right.
It's not, and maybe I don't
I'm
have
losing
red.
money because I'm paying for it.
Every commission that you
Right.
pay, right? What happens, the difference with your cost of sale is that you can tie it to the transaction. So in every transaction, you're paying 25%, 10%, whatever. So you can tie it directly to that, right? But it's per sale. If they don't sell anything, there's no cost,
Okay.
right? If you bring them on board full time, it becomes overhead because that cost is fixed regardless of whether or not they make a sale.
Okay.
Well, one's a consultant and one's one side's outside contractor and the
Right.
other one's an employee, so their roles are completely different within the
Okay.
organization.
Right. And legally, it's a different structure. Like once you have so many employees, you have to do health insurance, or you have to do this. I mean, I don't know laws in California. You would need to consult with a CPA here as far as how you handle the back end of that. But from a business model standpoint, the question is really for you to think about, is it going to be commission-based, right? And they're going to make money when they make a sale, or is there a different model here? And there's pros and cons to doing that. And that's fine. Are they going to be hungry enough is the question, right? Like, well, you know, some people say that's really motivating because if they don't sell, they don't eat. Well, that can get old really quickly.
So then you start making money.
And are you creating opportunities that will actually allow them to derive the income that they want to receive? You know, that's
They might drive, it might do that. It might also play against you because they might be like, you know, I won't sell today. I'm going to the beach. Right? Because there's no commitment. So I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just you need to understand what it is that you're trying to drive. So that's the first thing. Another form of sales that you can do is actually affiliate sales. They're not contractors and they're not employees. Okay? And so when you do affiliate sales, it's still up here. It's not a fixed cost. It's still commission-based, but you're actually working with other individuals, and you're going to pay them a commission, almost like a finder's fee, by promoting your product to their audience. So you can work with other bloggers, you can work with other communities that are serving the same audience as you. You can do that. Now, that requires building relationships and networking. Now, you are the one building that. So if you have the time and the energy to invest in forming those strategic relationships, then that's another way to go.
Okay,
Okay? You could do all three, obviously, or anything else. Okay, more questions.
All right, so sort of like on my pitch, there's two things I'm at, and I'm pre-momentum.
You're right here.
Yeah. So and one of the things is we are going B2B. So we are selling to brands and retailers, and these are huge markets, but they're also very difficult to break into.
Yes.
So one of the things we're looking for with partners is to get us into the door, right? Because we've already tried and actually failed quite miserably in trying to connect with them. Because we're like, hey, we have this really cool app we're thinking about. Here's a demo. And they're like, we have 100 people that have full products that we would rather, see. So how do you break through that component to get that first customer? Obviously, it's going to be free, but we need to be able to get in the door with them. And these are for B2B, right?
We are going to use a different color marker. Somehow this doesn't look like it's going to erase. We're going to find out. Doesn't even write. Yeah, we're not going to use that. Okay. Great question. And it's a question that every startup struggles with because the size of the market looks really big when you're doing online, and you can technically reach everybody.
So our customers are brands. So our customers are.
It doesn't matter because you're still building a consumer base, right? Wait. Okay, let me ask you again. What do you sell?
We sell advertising for brands. Mm-hmm.
And so, how will people get those ads?
The brands will put it on their products, so on the packaging and on the product itself.
Okay, so you don't have to build a consumer base? Okay.
So the beauty of the scalability of this is we are providing a platform where the brands can then say, hey, here's some great information, but they really advertise for us in a way because they're putting it right on their packaging when consumers want to find information about their product. Right. So it's really scalable because they're actually doing it for us in a way.
Okay, so I'm sorry because I misunderstood. I thought that you had to build a consumer base that you would then sort of connect to that brand, but you're not trying to do that. Okay.
So we get brands on board and then they place our logo on their product. So brands are the ones that we have to go directly to.
Okay. So what I would do, regardless, I think the same concept applies, and is that there's so many brands, and you could potentially start everywhere. I think the question is, where would you want to start?
Yeah, and so we already have target people, but the problem is, so this is business to business, so it's not like I can't build a website and then everyone will come, right? You could advertise, you can't do social media. You have to have a relationship with the marketing manager and get in their door and show them the awesomeness of, the platform, right? So that is different than like going to a consumer. So there's a lot of challenges in that, especially seeing how we're pre-funded. And so that's sort of the challenge. How do you break in the door when you're pre-funded to these brands?
They're in the exact same position.
They are.
No, it's true. They're just different levels with the same pro.
You're still struggling with the same conversation. You're still trying to make a sales pitch, and you want them to buy into it, whether they do it for free or whatever the offer is at this point to make it attractive to them. Is still a sales conversation.
What's a slightly bit different is we can't get in the door to have the conversation.
And what I'm saying to you is perhaps it's because you're knocking on the wrong door. Okay. So I think that the question for you might be at this point, who can I work with at this level? And I think that exercise has more to do with who is willing to, who would not be able to afford this if it was paid. Perhaps is one way to look at it, and would actually benefit. Another way for you to think about it is who could demonstrate the success of this product best.
What was your product again?
So we're putting.
Can you use the mic because they're recording?
We are building a platform that brands will upload content into our platform, and then what they will do is they will put a QR code or any kind of digital discovery technology on their packaging. So when you go to a store, it'll say scan here and you'll get some really awesome information about this product. And so it'll enable a brand to sort of really communicate to that consumer at very, very strategic touch points in that purchase life cycle.
Okay, a couple of things. I don't think you're selling advertising.
Is transaction management almost.
You can hand
Yeah.
over the mic.
I was gonna say, it's almost like a transaction management platform for retail, for retailers. Because your goal is to create a community of these brands, right? So that the consumer has a one-stop shop experience. Would you then be selling your name, or are you selling the retailer's name? No, the consumer. If a consumer was looking to work on your platform or to make a purchase on your platform, are they going to your platform, or are they searching for the retailer?
So there's a few phases, right?
Mike.
So the first phase of the platform will be, we will not handle transactions. So what we would do is, all we're doing is providing a mobile app really for brands to communicate sort of their digital content, like here is how awesome our product is, right?
Okay, that's your pitch.
Mhm.
That's what you do. You
Mhm.
don't sell advertising.
Okay.
You have a site, or you have a platform
Mhm.
that allows retailers to deliver content to consumers
Mhm.
to help them make an educated purchase,
Mhm.
or the best purchase, right, for them.
Mhm. Yes.
That's what you do. You built an app.
Mhm.
Right.
And it's a service that you will be selling to retailers.
Yeah. Brands.
Anybody, right?
Mhm.
Any type of retailer. Or you're focused on brands. Why do you say brands instead of retailers?
Yeah. So
This was Best Buy.
yeah.
And here is Apple stuff, and here is the other stuff, and there's HP over there. He is creating something that would go on those products.
Right. No,
So
understand
I,
what he's creating.
consumer, it's not Best Buy that is my client, is Apple and HP and
So the example would be,
Actual brand.
I'm going to buy a vacuum, and there's Hoover, and then there's DeWalt, and so Hoover gives me money to have this enabled on our platform, and so as a consumer, I might be more interested in this one because it showed me really great things that I saw on this platform, and this one, well, I have to look at the box.
But is your warranty to the retailer, are you going to drive traffic and consumers to their site to make purchases, or are you just selling them the platform software?
So the initial phase, which is sort of really what I talked about, was we're not selling at all to the retailers from the initial phase. All we're doing is saying, hey, by having these QR codes enabled for this product, people will be less likely to leave because they can't find the information they want about their products.
And so that's where I think you need to clarify further who is going to benefit from having this installed. Because if the point of sale is the retailer, which is I think what Hilda was getting at, if this is happening at Best Buy and the transaction happens at Best Buy, it is Best Buy who is going to benefit from that gadget app, QR code on that product, because it is Best Buy that's going to make the dollar.
So the brand and the retailer will benefit from it, right? Because if I don't buy from Hoover, if I buy from DeWalt,
You can't guarantee who is, which brand they're going to buy. You can guarantee that they'll buy from Best Buy because they're in there. Not guarantee, but the experience, what you're doing is enhancing the experience for the shopper once they're in the retail shop.
and yes, and what I will say is I am guaranteeing for the retailer that they are more likely to make a sale, and I'm advertising that the brand that is enabled with this platform is more likely to sell their product than the competitor that's right next to
Offering
them.
an exclusivity, because if all
No.
products have
No.
the QR,
Nope.
then the competitive advantage has been wiped out.
Yes.
Right? You see where I'm going
Yeah,
with it? At the end of the day, I'm thinking that the retailer is the one that's going to make the dollar, not necessarily the brand. However, I think that back to what do you sell, I think that's the piece that needs to be very, very specific, because then based on what you sell, you can go either to the brand or the retailer that would, if you're saying we can increase your sales by 35%, right? Then find people who really, really need to make 35% more in sales and offer them this opportunity so that you can test your assumption. Because you're still, although you're here, I'm not quite sure that your assumption has been tested, that you can actually say,
Absolutely.
You see, there's
Well,
still,
and that's a question. That actually is the question. Is like,
Yeah.
how do you break into that door to get
so
it?
you're not here. You're
Yeah,
testing. You're
yes,
over here.
I'm before
Yeah.
momentum.
You are. You're still at the phase of testing that product.
Yep.
So I think it goes back to defining, and maybe it's testing both. Saying, two brands and two retailers, and testing this app, this service, all of it on both, and then seeing who benefits most, what is the feedback that you get, and how does the model actually work in real life, and who makes the dollar. You might be surprised, might be that consumers go crazy with it, and they're willing to pay $10 to use it. Who knows? But I think that when you have that iteration process, I think you're going to get a lot of insight as to how this will truly make a difference in that space, in that moment of truth, I guess we called it upstairs.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean,
Microphone, please, Hilda.
you have two avenues really. If it goes to the brand, then it's a sales tool, but it can be a sales tool presented by from the brand actually to the retailer. This is a sales tool. You would want to buy from us in mass and wholesale mass because we're providing tools that will help your clients make better educated decisions about our products, and therefore your sales volume will be higher. But your issue is you're looking for salespeople, but you're not quite sure who they're going to be selling to yet.
I'm very clear.
You're very clear. Well, we're not understanding that message. We have
So
to
either
understand.
It's not being communicated. In a way
We
that
have
I
to
can
understand that message because I'm not sure. Are you building a site and you're going to drive traffic to your site? Are you simply selling a service? And if so, are you selling it to the brand or the retailer or the manufacturer?
So the brands, which are the manufacturers, is who we are selling this to on the phase one.
Okay, so you want to sell it to the manufacturers so that they can then have a better experience for their retailers, right? For their wholesalers.
Well, that they will have better sales at the retail store. Yes.
At the retail store. But this is a service. So I'm the manufacturer. I'm Apple Computer, and I have a subcontract.
I'm super tech guy in the back. I think I need 2 mics
Okay, yeah.
because it's getting a little
Okay.
complicated.
So I'm at Apple, right? I produce a product, I manufacture a product. Then I have a contract with an affiliate to sell Apple products at Best Buy. Okay, so you want to sell to Apple so that they can make the consumer experience at Best Buy better. Is that what your product does?
Yes.
Okay, but your client is the manufacturer.
Yes.
Okay.
And what the reason they would pay for that is because they would be able to.
Oh, I totally understand now. It's
Yes.
a benefit to help push more product, more units.
Yes.
It's total. It's
Yes.
not. You're saying let's educate the consumer so you can move more units.
Yes.
No matter who's in the sales
Yes.
cycle. Right? And you're not
Right.
going to drive traffic to your site. You're not going to be an Amazon. You're just going to provide a service to these manufacturers.
Yes, absolutely.
And
That's
they're
it.
still responsible for driving traffic to their sites or anything. This is just a sales tool in
Yep.
order to engage the consumer to
Yep.
make more effective decisions.
It's a consumer engagement platform. Yes.
Okay, that's what you need to focus on. Yeah. So but then that's you have to just simplify it like that. What you said in the last sentence made the most sense.
Our platform is the consumer engagement platform. That's what we call it.
That's it. Okay, there you go. That makes more sense. There you go.
Hi. Hi. So my name is Jose, and so honestly, when you were giving your pitch, take this as a grain of salt. With the grain of salt, I wasn't really clear on what your platform offers. But now that you have the consumer engagement, and one of the things you look at, like Simon Sinek, and he talks about the power of why. Your why is that information, that access to information, the power of why. I wasn't really understanding because I can take my app, scan the barcode of a product, and get all the information I need on Amazon. So the power of why needs to be very, very clear as to why I would choose Mercado Móvil. I think that's super key. And on the other side, to kind of help with your question, I think look at some of the existing technologies or new entrants, technology-wise. Which ideas or tools out there have just increased the consumer engagement experience? There has to be somebody that's brought something into the market in terms of connecting with merchants and brands and putting something on their products, whether it's new packaging. Somebody got them to adopt their packaging or their technology, whatever the case may be. They got them to adopt it, whether it was going to consumer product trade shows, which you maybe are doing, maybe branding trade shows where you're able to engage and connect with the brands.
And
Sounds
and
like
so
we're
and
doing
and,
that.
and actually my initial question is exactly what you're saying, is how do you get there, right? So I did look at it. There's a great trade show for consumer goods technology, right? You can't get in that door. That's a $40,000 ticket for us. That is the problem. How do you get there? Consumer goods technology event. So it's a different one. It's very focused on consumer goods and technology. And if you are a service provider, you're 40 grand plus just to get in the door. And so that is the challenge.
That's where I think that, seriously, scaling back down so that you can test your assumption
Yep.
at a very, because I don't
smaller.
know that you could, and I don't know, maybe you have all kinds of money stashed under your bed, right?
Nope, that's why I'm here.
Assuming that actually managing a even mid-size electronics whatever would be a huge endeavor financially to test your idea. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I would start with like, okay, I live in Tampa, Florida. Who makes tortillas in my neighborhood or whatever that is selling in the local grocery store? And can we test this over their next batch? Maybe we could kind of
Like a local brand that's smaller.
Yes, a local small
Yeah.
brand.
Yes.
Where you can literally make that phone
Yeah.
call, show up at their door and say, I'm having this technology. I can
Nice.
help you
Yeah.
ramp up your sales 35%. They're like
Yeah.
hungry, just like you are.
Yeah.
Right? But you're offering them something that
Yeah.
just like you, they
Yeah.
cannot go
Good point.
pay
Yeah.
40 grand somewhere to
Good
test.
point. Like a little loco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get some lift, and then they act as a testimonial.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, we've increased sales 200%.
Yeah.
Right. And so I
Like
think
a little loco.
starting like that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. Start very small and then, a local hair salon. I don't know. Maybe that's too small, right? But telling them, okay, hair salon, you have these products here and it's for other brands, but I'm going to generate the QR code and it's like this little sticker that we're going to put on it and I'm going to dummy the experience,
Yeah.
right? And so let's test it and see if you, retailer, make more money.
Nice.
Right? Now you're testing sort of the other side of it.
Yeah.
But you are the one controlling the experiment at
Yeah.
this point, and you can scale your test to the level that is doable. So if this one here is not working,
Yeah.
this one is not working, then go one down. It doesn't matter. You can
Yeah,
have 15 hair shops,
Yep.
right? And so you're still having enough data to
Yeah.
prove your assumption,
Yeah.
or at least test it. But you're going to start small enough to
Yeah.
actually iterate faster.
Yeah. And I
This
just
is-
get in the door, right?
Yeah.
That's the main
And
point.
think
Yeah.
about it. You get into, I don't know, the coffee mug, coffee maker, right? The manufacturing process is going to require that the packaging is pre-made, and so they're going to have to run a million of these things.
The long lead
By
time.
the time they figure out that it doesn't work, or that it could be better with X, or whatever, you're like, you're sleeping somewhere. You're like, like you want it to be faster.
Yeah.
So you want it to be shorter runs. And you want to be able to iterate faster so
Yeah.
that you can test the assumption.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then this is going to be super long.
Yeah.
Your testing of the assumption is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
So you're creating a competitive engagement experience to Amazon.
Yeah. Actually, we are doing it because of Amazon.
That's that was kind of your inspiration.
Yeah.
You're just creating an alternative so
Yeah.
so people aren't held hostage by Amazon.
So that retailers, and that's the second phase, is later on we can group with retailers and say, hey, we have these customers, we have this information about them, we have a shopping list that they're going to through the store. We can tell you who is actually going in the door based because of the products that they're looking for, and you can give them offers on that, and you'll probably increase sales because of that. So and
Delivering it to the mobile
so,
phone. that'd be
but see,
super
and
cool.
so I know one of the things they say is, why isn't it done yet? And it's because there is Amazon doing it, and everyone's like, I don't want to go against Amazon. Well, retailers still need something,
Yeah.
but what they're building is a siloed solution, and that's all they know,
Yeah.
right?
It's very similar to Safeway app. Safeway as an app is driving traffic to their stores based on consumer consumption of their favorite products and that kind of
Yep.
And I think that's a great point in terms of your pitch deck. Positioning yourself against the market leader shows that there's a market out there and there's an opportunity out there. So, yeah, sounds really awesome.
Yeah, and it's gutsy. So that's what I would do. I would start with the smaller ones. I mean, that's how Amazon
That's a
did
good.
it.
That's a good strategy. Yeah. That's a
Amazon
good
started
strategy.
with the one book.
Yeah.
If you're buying the one book
Yeah.
and if you're buying the onesie here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take that approach. People who are doing smaller runs, they're doing it faster so that you can get your data your response and the iteration faster.
If anyone knows any local brands, just hit me up.
I actually can put you in touch with a couple in the Tampa area, but yeah. So that would be great.
And is how does your product actually work? You say you put a QR code. Now, is this something that's built into the label of your clients? How is it? Is it only web-based?
Yeah, so it's all mobile. It's all mobile because this is the mobile. Oh, it's all mobile. It's a mobile play. And a QR code, if you guys don't know technology-wise, it's really just a URL. It's a web address. Yeah. And so that web address goes to a mobile web, right? And so that will say, hey, here's this great product, and here's all the really great information. And so now, if you think about it from a brand perspective, it's a small mom and pop. They can build a mobile web page, right? That's really cost prohibitive. But if you have someone that says, hey, I will charge you 1% to be able to do this, and it might increase your sales 5, 8%, that's very compelling. And so that's sort of how it is.
And that's part. It has to be part
Yeah.
of your pitch. Explaining it that simply is really is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But for instance, if I'm a consumer, I'm going to their website and I want to make a purchase. That's where I would now have this engagement experience, right?
So we aren't doing any transactions at all.
No.
All of this is going to be from the initial parts of it is really going to be about selling that product and providing relevant and on-demand information for that consumer so that they will buy that product.
But all that information is on the brand's or the retailer site, right? A person would have to
It's on our site. It's on our site, and it's all
on the
managed
site?
by us. Yes. So Shopkick is an example of someone that's doing something similar but different, where they are giving. It's a platform-based cross-retailer, cross-product engagement for consumers, where they are giving discounts. Basically, it's points and discounts. And one of the things is you don't need your Target app, you don't need your Kmart app, you don't need your Safeway app. You have one app, and it's sort of cross-retailer and cross-brand.
It's a superstore. It's an online superstore.
But we don't do any transactions. We just enable that whole consumer experience to be way, way better than what it is right now, right? Just imagine you have,
information.
through information. Yeah. Why do you go into an app? I get lost in stores.
You pass it.
Hi. So I guess I'm like latching on to the small business
Yep.
and QR code
Yep.
capability of it in business to business. So in my previous life, I worked for this company that manufactures soft goods for hotels.
Okay.
And they had a really hard time keeping track of their stuff because all these soft goods were going to be packaged according to where they would end up, basically, right? So before
What is a soft good? Sorry,
Sorry, it's basically all the linens and not furniture that you see
Okay.
at hotels.
Okay.
So from your towels to your everything that's
Yeah.
not like actual furniture.
Yeah.
So, have you thought about maybe like working on something internally? Because at the time we really were trying to do something with a QR code that would allow us to keep track of stuff and make it available to the clients, even just internally, business to business, and that was prohibitively expensive for us. So,
Like inventory
So-
control.
I'm just thinking like I guess I'm pivoting a little bit to like the business internally.
So you're saying you are a company that provides soft goods,
Right.
and here are 80 items, and these are our offering.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not going to package them until I know where they're going because the same, like duvet cover or I don't know, like cobijas going to like Hilton or Marriott or whatever. But it is really easy to put a QR code tag on it. Right. But that's prohibitively expensive for a company like that doesn't do that. That's implementing a system like that, bringing something in, building it from scratch is like super expensive for them.
QR codes are very easy, but I think you're talking about RFID, not necessarily QR coding.
Well-
Because QR coding, like he said, is a URL. It's actually an address. It's a web address.
I
So
understand
it doesn't
that.
really help inventory control.
No, I was thinking more about like putting it to the clients itself, like like the business to business. Like if Marriott goes on there and says, "I need, what do you have? What do you?" And it's a little bit inventory control, but not RFID didn't work because of how they were transporting stuff, etc. Like they had tried with it and they kept falling off or whatever. and they had to wash them sometimes, et cetera, et cetera. But what we came up with was like, you know, even sewing on the stuff at the end. And that's just like all I'm hearing is like the business to business implementing this for percentage fee. And I know if somebody would have come in there at that point, I would have been like, yes, build this for me. And like have this portal, like you said, online. So Marriott, Hyatt, et cetera, can come in there and say, oh, you have this much. I need this much right now. Or does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying, hey, here's our inventory. That if you're interested in buying stuff, they can go onto this mobile or web.
Well, they have to buy it because they have to replace them every so often.
Yeah.
And then these companies have like a particular agreement, so they can only buy this kind of sheet. So you have like a captive audience, but on this side, they were like completely screwed up on how they managed stuff. They didn't know what was where, right? So, I mean, there was more to do there, but to me, this kind of jumps up.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of, in terms of platforms, providing solutions in these platform types of systems where you're like, here's stuff we have, and here's how we can offer it to people. I think there's a lot of opportunities in that, and that seems like something feasible. I'm not sure if we don't do much of the inventory type of thing, but definitely something that would be a pivot to this for sure. That would be feasible for a company like that.
And, you know, they're other business, so that tells you enough. But, like,
Yeah.
even just the information part of it that you
Yeah.
have, et cetera.
Yeah.
Thinking a little bit.
That's a great idea. I think.
You can keep the mic, just turn it off. One of the things that you want to be thinking about when you're in this, when you're making it happen, right? You're past the ideation phase and you're in execution, and you've probably heard this before, but is your key performance indicators. And so your KPIs, that's what's going to help you truly gauge where you are and if what you're doing is working. So for example, in your case, as we were talking about what it is that you're trying to evaluate, I just thought about key performance indicators. That's what came to mind, is how do you know that this works, right? That's what the question that you want to answer. And so long as you can answer that question, and as long as you can really look at those key performance indicators, those 5 things, that if you are doing those 5 things right, this is working. It doesn't matter who and where, you're still proving the assumption. Yep. So I think that, you know, that's really the most important piece of executing effectively over time, is understanding your key performance indicators and then testing the variables around them in different scenarios and different contexts.
Yeah, because I know ours is that's really what we want to get, and with the R2 are basically if you ship out 100, how many people scan this?
Yeah.
And how many people buy it? You ship out 100, what happens? Those are those 2 key numbers, and then once you get those, even which is a great idea to go to a smaller brand that really would love that for free.
They would.
And then you're like,
want to know too. You're answering their question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Absolutely.
That's a really great idea. Thanks.
For sure. So did you have a question? No? Anybody have another question regarding where you're at? How do you make that happen wherever you are at right now?
I just wanted to ask, how long did it take you to get to where you're at now?
So the idea.
How long did it take you to get to where you are?
Yeah. So the idea happened when it evolved a long time ago, but probably for me, I've been on it 9 months, where I've been putting the idea component together, and then just about January, I brought on some people, and they sort of put together the demo and whatnot. I got an advisor to start looking at some of the more business aspects of this. So since January.
Not bad. I mean, and this all came from that concept when you were out looking for the baby carriage.
Absolutely, yeah. That was the motivator.
Yeah.
Like I hate problems that are just, oh my gosh, you could totally fix this, right? And my background is I'm a cloud engineer, right? So there have been no cloud solutions out in the retail space, and there's 2 reasons why. Is the people that are there in the industry are vested in keeping exactly what they do. I am a technology provider to retailers and brands, and I give you a solution that's this silo, because then I go sell it to you. because of our relationship, and I sell it to you. I don't want to change that. I don't want a cloud solution that's going to be more efficient for the brands, right? So they don't want to change. And now on the technology side, really, 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 we are in a bubble here. And I've already talked to some people, and they're like, well, I just go to Amazon. I'm like, that's great. 97%, or what is it? 97% of sales are not online for consumer goods. People are still going to stores. So there should be something there that's better, right? And so I think that technology people that are in... No, so all of consumer goods, 97% is not online. It's on the retail store. You would think we're in bubbles. People don't know this. 97% is still bought of all consumer goods is bought at a retail store.
And
so,
I would dare you then.
But people and
for example, go to supermarkets,
yeah,
grocery stores, or like the smaller grocery store,
Yeah.
not the big chains, because that's where that 97, that's what drives it. Because I'm not going to buy shampoo online, or toilet paper, or dishwashing detergent, or Tylenol for my kids. So those kinds of transactions are happening in your local stores, and that's where you're going to get the most feedback on that particular model. That's my feedback.
Oh, sorry. Hi. I was wondering, can you give some examples of the type of content that you want the consumers to be educated about?
yeah. So one example would be
You
the
lucked out, man. This is all you.
This is great. I love it. I didn't know it was going to be my session. No, so for example, just take for example the stroller. We wanted to see, hey, what's the maximum weight for a child, right? That was nowhere to be found easily. Well, you had to sort of dig through it, right? So all of this information is somewhere available, not readily, and that's the key piece. We couldn't figure out how to open or close a stroller, right? They had pictures, like one or two, that was, they showed it open and closed. I'm like, that doesn't help me to get between the two, right? And so that type of information, like, for example, the manuals, for one, you would have a manual and you would never lose it, right? I don't know, do you guys have a manual box?
No, they actually make it all the way to the trash rather quickly.
I have a manual drawer in my kitchen that's where everything goes. Otherwise, I'm not-
And do you ever find it, right? I have a manual box, but I can never find the manual that I'm looking for. So one of it is having manuals on there, so you would never lose a manual. And secondly, those manuals are actually kind of useless. So if you are able to make it more in a digital format, we are in the digital age. Why are you printing out hard copies, black and white, of this text?
Wouldn't that have to change the way that the brand actually creates the manuals?
Correct.
itself?
Yes.
Have to, like,
Yes, and there will be a push. Well, they wouldn't have to redo. Initially, they can just put their manual digitally online, and that would be available. And so it would be better than what they have, because now it's easily accessible anytime, anywhere, when they want. And the second phase of that would be, why not just make it better now? Because you have that platform. So,
Quality of content is a different
yeah.
piece there.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
having the platform does not guarantee quality of
Nope.
content.
Yeah.
So you might want to think about how
Yeah.
you either take ownership of that by providing that service of digitizing, content and whatnot. I mean, I don't know. But.
Yeah, and our strategy for that is to partner with marketing firms that have experience in digital media, and that we have a group of 3 or 4 and say, hey, look, these are our partners that know how to create engaging digital media. You might not have that, but they do, right?
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the idea of like having really, really good content also is one of the other aspects.
So I think your concept of showrooming is a key selling point for the B2B conversations.
Yep.
Definitely the showrooming, tackling that. I go to a store and I scan and, but I don't buy, and they don't know that. And I would rather, prefer to buy it online. So that's fantastic. I think on the other side too, if you're capturing data, the data is going to be huge. Yeah, the data is going to be huge.
Data analytics, and that's
Yeah,
going to be
so
a
if you're
huge
capturing
layer
that.
in it. Yep.
Then as a consumer, I go like the other day. It's been a while, trying to buy a digital camera, and you go and the cards at Best Buy are like, they're not. You don't know which one to buy because they only have certain key selling points on each card, and they don't differentiate.
You need to see my commercial.
So-
I have a commercial
So,
that uses that
yeah.
exact example. Oh my god! I give you my card. You have to look at my commercial.
Yeah, I'm also the founder of a digital marketing company. So basically, what I do is create digital content development.
Good.
So
Well, we definitely need to connect.
Yeah, definitely. So if we have time, I have a
looks
question.
like we're
Do we have
almost
time?
done.
We're almost
Yeah.
done. Are we good?
So I'll take another question.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we just launched our platform last Monday. It's a powering innovation and creativity within the Latino community. So what would you consider some key performance indicators for a crowdfunding platform?
So it's a crowdfunding platform that explain to me what you
So
sell.
so we sell basically our big problem is access to capital. You know, I might have a bold idea, but I don't have money. So it's capital formation via the collaborative web. It's innovation funding. It's crowdfunding. So anybody with an idea that doesn't have the money to make it happen, we bring that via the crowd or via network.
Kickstarter-ish.
Exactly, exactly. So what would you consider some KPIs for that type of a platform?
How do you make money?
Every time a project creator, if their project, so we have two models. We have all or nothing, where if they hit their goal, we take a platform percentage. And then we have
So
anything
if
helps.
hit their goal, you take a percentage. Go on.
And then if we have anything helps, which is an option where, they'd select that at the forefront of their crowdfunding campaign, 30 to 45 days. And they'll decide, well, we'll do the all or nothing. We'll take any money that comes in and cool. Well, we'll charge a higher percentage platform wise. So that's how we make money is the
Well, I
platform
think
fees.
There's a few ways to measure that. You're not going to make money unless they get enough funders, enough backers. So part of it is, can you drive enough traffic, right? They're going to drive traffic, but why should they use your platform versus another platform unless you're able to bring something to the table other than, sort of the tool that allows me to do this? You see where I'm going with it? So I think part of it is what kind of traffic can you generate so that you're adding value to that interaction. That would be one way to measure that. Another one would be the number of people that actually meet their goal, right? Because it's telling you that the tool is working, is doing what it's supposed to do. You could just look at your revenue, but if you make, if one project is huge and it makes all kinds of money and then you make $5 trillion and all the other ones flopped, to duplicate that success, right, so in order for it to be sustainable over time, you need to see that at least, even if it's small movement, but it's consistent over time. So you want to see that regularly the number of people that are completing projects and successfully completing projects on your platform is either increasing or at least is sustaining. So that would be
So replicating that success and
yeah.
exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take one more. No more. All right then. This was like the best thing ever. Thank you, and I hope that it was useful.